Hello, how you doing? I'm Willard Maxwell. I'm the pastor of New Beach Grove, and I'm also the Home Missions Director for the Virginia Baptist State Convention. And we have a special guest with us today, Miss Carolyn Rhodes. She's going to talk to us about wills. Make sure that we leave a legacy for our family. This is all made possible by these great leaders up here, and of course, our own president, Dr. Brandon. Can you let us know what's so important about, first of all, just let us know a little bit about yourself, and then let us know why it's important to you and why should it be important to everyone for us to make sure that we draft a will to make sure that we take care of our families.
Absolutely. First off, my name is Carolyn Rhodes, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you about this. My company is called Expedite, and it was founded back in 2019, and it was created to help families and to assist them with securing their legacy. And if by chance they didn't create their will, we are here to help them with their probate process. I believe it's truly important to have a will and to have these things in place because it will prevent a lot of heartache, tragedy for our loved ones that we leave behind. And not only that, it helps us to leave a legacy. It helps us to secure those things that we're working so hard for every day.
Wow. That's amazing. But let me just go to Dr. Brandon. Dr. Brandon, first of all, thank you so much for your leadership. And I appreciate you having us here to make sure that we take care of our families and our churches. But is it important for our people not only to leave a legacy for the family, but how can they leave a legacy for our church?
I think it's valuably important for us for our people to understand the importance of leaving a legacy, not only for the church, but in terms of our institutions of higher learning as well. After pastoring over 24 years in one segment and now in 2 years in Norfolk, there have been a plethora of cases where members of our congregations have transitioned and did not have a living will or will in place, which caused major chaos within the family. That's one. The other thing is that the ministry still has to go on after that person transitioned, just like higher education still has to go on. And so I think it's valuable to us to inform our people the importance of trying to leave something that's documented so that the next generation can benefit off of their hard work.
Wow, that's awesome. Also, what I've always seen is, you was about to say something, weren't you?
I was not.
Oh, what another thing I always see, and I'm sure you can attest to this, some of the moderators over here and the vice presidents, not only about the will, the families, a lot of times it leaves families in turmoil, not only just when they're fighting over cars and houses and things of that nature, but when they say, you know what, should I pull the plug? Should I not pull the plug? Do you do anything to help people, like say if they're in the hospital, do you have, what can they do? What can they produce? What can they fill out in order to protect themselves from making the decision of, do I say pull the plug, do I not? Because so many families are torn apart because of that as well.
You're right. I have seen it, unfortunately, countless numbers of times. And they can do something as simple as a medical directive or a medical power of attorney. And it just simply lets the family know what your wishes are. Should you be in a situation where you have to get a feeding tube, the family may be in the, strife or stress trying to figure out, well, do I do it or do I don't? Do I resuscitate my loved one or don't I? And so to help alleviate a lot of that stress and also to be able to have that voice and that power, even when you're not able to speak at that moment, it's good for you to have the medical directives in place and those medical power of attorneys in place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. No, so how do we go about setting these things up? I know most of everyone around here wanted to make sure that they had you in their churches. How do we set up a meeting with you? How do we get first of all, does everyone on the stage have a will? Do we have a will? You have a will?
Most definitely.
Working on it. All right, so we got to get my pastors over here. Everyone, right?
I got you covered. Don't worry about it.
We got you.
covered.
Now, how do you see, that's a good one. See, my man over here said he working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So what type of deal can you give him as far as his church? It'll say if his church participate, does a pastor receive any type of
So
incentive?
what Expedite does, and this is to help our community, as far as leaders, our members who we serve, and also if you have just an organization, your employees, your colleagues, to help in that respect, we partner with organizations such as yours. And if you decide to partner with Expedite, meaning allowing us to come and just share the information about how important it is to have a will, also how to set up a will properly. Sometimes it's not done correctly. You forget some things, leave them out, or your medical directives. We will give 10% back to that organization to use for whatever they need it for. For example, we just partnered with the church in Texas, actually, and they have transitional homes. They help individuals who are coming out of prison. They're trying to get a fresh start. So when we presented to them and their members decided to use and get their will, 10% of that went back to help with that nonprofit, which was the transitional homes. Not only that, when you were talking about leaving a legacy and teaching them as far as the ministry must go on, I share with people and I let them understand that leaving your legacy is so much bigger than just a house. A lot of times they feel like, I don't have anything to give. And believe it or not, you will, and you do. It's as small as literally the things that you have in your home. And it could be furniture. With this transitional home, one of the members they were trying to figure out, what can I leave? They left one of their bedroom suites to help those people who needed to have fresh start in community and to be reintegrated back in their society. So there are different ways that you can give. Yes, through insurance, which is normally what most people do. They leave money through their insurance policies. They leave their estate. But it could be honestly just as simple as, I want to make sure that my clothes are given back to the ministry, the furniture is given back to the ministry. It's simple things that you can do to leave your legacy and to make sure that it's secure.
You know what? So you said something about insurance. I'm gonna come back to this side, but Bishop White has some concerns about insurance. Can you let us know some of your concerns about your members when it comes to insurance?
Well, I've been pastoring 42 years, believe it or not. And it never fails that someone dies or someone is killed. And then the family discovers that they have absolutely, positively no insurance. And with the generation that is coming behind us, what I'm finding now is that, let's say the young man, Junebug, I like to call him, was killed.
Okay.
They then have to go not to Junebug's mother, because Junebug's mother's about in the same financial situation that Junebug was in. They have to go to the grandmother. The grandmother then has to borrow against her retirement to pull out money to bury Junebug.
Right.
Then when the grandmother really wants to retire, she discovers she really can't, because it has placed her in a position wherein that she didn't have as much money as she thought. Mm-hmm. And so my concern has always been is to try to help family members to get insurance. And I have always been an advocate of pushing, get some insurance.
Right.
I mean, and when you're young, insurance is certainly much cheaper, so that at the end, it will not be such a burden on the family. But in regards to you talking about wills, we as Blacks have a tendency not to leave a legacy to our families nor to our churches.
Right.
And so, but wherein Caucasians, they do that. And as a pastor, I've been trying to get more members to steer towards that direction, to put it in the will. Because I've had even members that tell me, Pastor, when I die, I'm going to leave $10,000 to the church. Mm-hmm. But they didn't have a will. Mm-hmm. And so when I go to the family and say, well, your mama told me that she was going to leave $10,000 to the church. They looking at me like, that will not happen.
Exactly.
So having a will is real important. And so do you have a package deal that you offer to churches or?
So Expedite, our company does not do insurance. However, we are partnered with individuals that do offer insurance. Pastor Maxwell and also myself, we work with individuals who provide insurance to those members or those people who need them. One thing that I did mention before was that we help families to establish their will, and then we also help with the probate process. As you mentioned, a lot of people in our community don't have wills. And so when they pass away, they're most likely going to have to go through probate in some way. So what we do that is so unique with Expedite is we help families to find resources and ways to now help take care of a lot of that debt and those expenses. One of the main things that I've seen continually is that a lot of families forget to leave beneficiaries on the bank accounts. And then once the bank finds out that they're passed away, that account is frozen. So through research and wisdom, we have found ways to now help families get access to those bank accounts. I work with realtors, and I work with, I myself am also an investor, and we figure out ways how to use their current estate to now generate assets for them to help cover those debt. My most recent customer, actually, his brother passed away, and he had a $20,000 bankruptcy. And through wisdom, we were able to go ahead and get those completely wiped away, so that way the family had that over their head or a lien against their home. So there's a lot of different ways that we can find to help bury the person, take care of the debt that they left behind, to alleviate that stress from them not having a will or them not having their insurance in place.
And I'll kind of piggyback on this and kind of, I know she's very, very modest, but yes, definitely we have we have in-house how as far as insurance. If you need that, it definitely is happening because it's a partnerships, but they already in-house. So if your members don't have insurance, in the midst of that presentation that she makes, it'll definitely still be an opportunity for them to secure insurance to make sure that they are able to leave a legacy, because they will have their funeral arrangements and everything paid for. Another thing, the way that we started working together mostly with the real estate was one of my members died. And although I'm a real estate broker, a lot of times, even though I'm helping them, Maxwell Realty will get paid when we sell the home, but you don't want to, how they say, you don't want your good intentions to be evilly spoken of. So right. I pulled her in because I understood, hey, I know you do probate. Can you help me with this member? Because not only did the wife died, she had a heart attack trying to look for help when they had an accident. And then when he found out she died, he was healthy, but he had amnesia going in and out. And he'd be, hey, Pastor, I'm going to be at church on Sunday. I'm going to be at church. And we was at the hospital. I'm going to be at church on Sunday. Then his memory come back. Man, she died. It's my fault. He died the day of her funeral. Now, the good thing about it, the gentleman and the mother, the husband and wife, they had wills already together. So it was easy to go through the process, but because she knew how to navigate everyone through the process, and it was arm's length between me and my members, you understand? So it's always good. It brings you that cushion because a lot of times if you in the midst of it, even if you do or do not do real estate, if you have to be in the midst of it, a lot of times they're going to be far more emotional with you. And it's good she's a a Christian young lady, and she knows how to counsel people and help them out and be there for them, where it won't be such a strain all the way on the pastor, yet you know they're taken care of. We went to the probate. One of the banks, I almost said their name, but I don't want to get sued. I don't want to mess
Can
this
I
up.
interject right
yeah,
there,
go ahead.
Pastor?
Yes. Mhm.
So the reason why he just said that the parents, the mother and the father passed, and they had a will, but we still had to do some things through court because they did not have their bank accounts and everything settled right. So we still had to, in the state of Virginia, if you don't know, if you do not have a beneficiary or things set up correctly, you have to wait 60 days, or you have to go through probate. So we were still able to get access to the money from the account. They were still able to close out things and the credit cards and everything. And with this family, we took the house. We had an estate sale. We gutted the house completely, got it ready to be sold, and it was done within 60 days. Because by the time that it came time for to get the money at the bank, we were ready for closing.
Yes.
So from the beginning to the end, we were able to help this family with almost everything that they needed. And they lived in a whole different state. They lived in Tennessee, and we took care of all their needs here in Virginia.
Yes, it worked out. It worked out very, very well. And don't let the smile fool you. She was straight gangster at the bank because they want to sit here like, oh yes, Pastor Maxwell, but whatever. They went in that bank because the bank wouldn't give. Because a lot of times when you go to the establishments, the people that work there don't know the process.
It's true.
So a lot of time, if you're not assured that you know that you're supposed to be able to have access to this, you won't know. So they kept sending him home. He had flown all the way from Tennessee. He was disappointed and called me. I said, don't worry, I'm gonna call Sister Rose, because as a pastor, we can't be gangster like that. They'll forget about her being gangster, but if we be gangster, that Pastor Maxwell is a mean guy. They remember her for about 3 days. They remember us for the rest of our life. And it's like, that's that mean pastor over there. And she handled the bank, and so he was happy. He was able to get the funds because the bank would, triple threat, right? She was trying. Look, they were trying to keep the money. They were trying to keep the money.
Absolutely.
And some of it was they just didn't understand the process. And a lot of times when people at the bank don't understand the process, they just say no. So she escalated to make sure it went up the chain, and we were able to secure those funds. So thank you. Thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We often hear people say that the reason they don't have a will is because it's too expensive.
Ooh, look at
And knowing what some lawyers will charge to draw up a will, I have to sort of sometimes be in agreement. Yeah, that's a lot of money. So, but what would you, in regards to your particular program, what would it cost a person to have a will drawn up?
That's a very good question. We have a group of attorneys that have drafted our will for the 50 states, so within the United States. It is $197.
Time out. Say that one more time, because you were thinking how much, Bishop? How much they usually charge the lawyers?
Thinking at least $800.
Amen. But you get it but for you, how much?
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I understand what you mentioned before. A lot of people in our community don't take out the time to do it. And so Expedite, my company, we are trying our best to eliminate the excuses for us not securing our legacy and taking care of our family. So that's why the price is what it is. It does still cost you something, but it won't be as much as if you went to see an attorney on your own. So it is $197 to have your will done by Expedite, or if you just want to get your medical power of attorney, or what we call the medical directives, that is $47. I'm sorry.
Wow.
$47 for just your medical. And let me tell you this as well.
$47. You
It
sure?
is.
We
I'm
might
positive.
need to edit this.
I'm
sure you don't
positive.
want to do $99. I'm just saying.
I'm
47. Okay, that's Jesus in you.
It is all day.
Because the
So let me-
shrewdness in me is like, you sure? All right,
So
go
let me
ahead.
tell you, with the with our wills, what we do and we make sure is that you guys have your self-proving affidavit. So a lot of times what causes individuals to go to probate court is because families can fight and say, oh, they must not have been in their right mind to say that. Or the person who was a witness is also the person who's receiving the benefits. I want to contest this. I want to take this to probate. So to prevent any of that stuff, we go ahead and we make sure that you guys have the self-proven affidavit. And it's just a form that simply has to be notarized but it just says, I know what I'm writing. I know what I'm stating. I'm in my right mind, and this is what I want to happen. So we make sure that that is also as a part of it to help prevent some of those issues. Anyone can take you to court, but we do our best to prevent you from having to go to court.
Look, I was talking to Doc. Oh, go ahead. You was about to say something.
First of all, this is great information, and the prices are wonderful. But for our constituents that are watching, oftentimes when we are talking about wills, our people don't like to talk about dying.
I know.
It's a reality. We know we're all going to die someday. But when it comes to talk about dying and making wills, there's a certain stigma that comes along with it and negativity. So what would you say to all of our people that are watching to try to break the stigma and the idea that doing a will is negative?
I'm really glad you said that, because that has been what I have been working towards. That is why I always use the word secure your legacy. It definitely has the stigma of I'm about to die, so let me go ahead. No, think about living. This is you living past yourself. This is about you securing your child. Can I just tell my testimony about what happened? So earlier this year, the beginning of December, at the end of May, I was actually headed to help a family to prepare an estate sale. One of my clients lost their mother and their father within 6 months of each other. She was a young lady, or she is a young lady, and I was going there to help her generate some assets. On the way to her house, I was T-boned. So a gentleman ran the light and hit me on my driver's side to the point where I was completely knocked unconscious. I don't even know for how long. I just know that my car was completely totaled and I couldn't move. So I woke up to someone actually touching me and asking me if I could hear their voice, and that's how I came to. But this is my point for saying all that. Prior to me having my accident, I did my will. I had my life insurance, but it was done 8 years ago. Nothing was updated. Not my business was in there. My new bank accounts are not in there. My house I have in Hampton wasn't in there. Nothing was there. So had I passed away unexpectedly during that time, I would have left my family in the exact same position that I'm trying to help families in. So you have to understand, life is so unexpected. It's not about, oh, I'm writing my death wish. No, I am, number one, I don't want to be harsh, but I'm being responsible. I'm making sure that my son, I have a young son, he is taken care of. I'm working hard to make sure that I leave a legacy for him. And that's what you have to think about. Think about you. I'm securing my child. I'm securing my wife. I'm securing my husband. I'm securing my church, my community. This is what it's about. It's not about, oh Lord, I'm about to die. No, you have to change that. I get to do my will, not I have to do my will.
So Carolyn, how often should we
Update?
re-up our will?
As often as you have major life events. If you get divorced, you may want to take the ex-wife out the will. If you get married, you may want to add your wife to the will. If you have a new grandbaby, if you have a child, if you get a business, if you get new bank accounts, things need to be updated as often as your life evolves.
If your pastor preach a good sermon.
Oh my goodness.
Let me ask this question too. While we're associating wills with dying,
Okay.
You've been in the funeral business for about 10 years. And one of the things that I often say when families come in to make arrangements, they're fussing and going back and forth over who can read scripture, who can pray, and things like that. So are families, when they're working with you to make wills, are they also able to work with you and maybe go through a funeral to make pre-arrangements as well?
There is, at the very end of the will that we do, you can have your last final wishes. So I did one of my family members, and it was very simple. Their wish was they didn't want to have a funeral. They wanted to be cremated, and they wanted their ashes to be scattered in a certain place. And they want the money, instead of it being towards a funeral, to be spent with they normally have family sibling trips. They want that money to be given to their siblings to take on a trip to use to scatter the ashes. So we don't go as detailed like a funeral home is, but if you have a good idea of what you do or don't want, we have a place for that in the will to where you can put in there what exactly it is that you want. You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm going to say this one more thing. We're going to close it out with Dr. Jones. But even Jesus said, he said, I'm going to go and prepare a place for you. Even Jesus prepared a place for us. He said, look, I'm going to send you the advocate, the paraclete, the helper, the Holy Ghost to make sure it takes care of you. And so many times, as Bishop has said, that we don't leave a legacy for our families, because in a lot of times, even if we have wealth left over, because we don't have a will, the states end up putting their hands in it, and a lot of it is taken away because of all the bickering that goes on and lawyer fees and things of that nature, and the state swoops in and takes a big chunk of the money. So we want to make sure that we are able to leave a legacy for our children, because the Bible even says that if we don't leave a legacy or something for our children, we're worse than an infidel. So we need to make sure that we leave a legacy. But one thing I would know, Pastor Jones is a great pastor, and he has, and he's pastoring in one of the areas where the median income may not be as high as some of the cities. And I know he was saying that he wanted to make sure he got you down there. So listening to the prices and especially the $47 ones, you know, that's a compassionate move of God for that one. So we thank you for that. You probably need to put some virtual hand claps on this one. But go ahead, Doc. Let us know how you can get, because you just met really just today, and you already are setting up. Let them know how easy it is to set up a meeting with this young lady to get their churches secure.
Well, first of all, it's good to be here today, and we want to say thank you and Expedite for being with us here at the Virginia Baptist State Convention Incorporated. Thank you, Dr. Maxwell, for hosting. It's easy as ABC 123. We just met about 30 minutes ago, and she has consented to come to the rural area where I pastor, where the income is not as much as it is in this area. And she has consented to come to help us and to encourage the rural congregation that is important to leave a legacy. We just built a $1.2 million building, a Victory Center. And some people were trying to figure out, well, how are you going to pay for it in that area? But we had an Anglo-Saxon, another one of our brothers and sisters, that lives adjacent to the church. She passed about a year ago, and she left the church $58,000. And I've been trying for 12 years to encourage our people to leave a legacy, as Bishop White has said, to the church. Because we often wonder in our areas, how does our brothers and sisters build beautiful edifices? They do it because their parishioners, they leave a legacy to the church. And it's not all through tithes and offerings. It's legacy building. So Sister Rose has consented to come to the rural area in the Campbell County area, and she'll come to your area as well. Wherever you are across the Commonwealth, she'll be glad to come give this information from Expedite. And we're so thankful and we're blessed. We're better because of you today here at Virginia Baptist State Convention Incorporated. And we thank you for your time. She is, hey, listen, Facebook, listen, hit those like and heart buttons today. She is a triple threat. When she comes, she's going to hook us up. We want to thank our president for hooking us up with Dr. Maxwell and our state convention family. This has been a blessing today. Thank you.
And my phone number, you can find me on Facebook if you're there. My name is Carolyn Rhodes. On Instagram is IWill_expedite. And my phone number is 757-563-3092, 757-563-3092. And also just by email, it's Carolyn@expediteproperties.com.
Let me also suggest that she don't necessarily have to come to the area.
That's true.
But we can always do Zoom. She'll be doing a Zoom with our church on Tuesday. And so we can Zoom her in, amen, to the areas and be a benefit as well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And that is so true. But Dr. Maxwell was leading that to my area. I pastor senior saints. And and so, unfortunately, a lot of them do not have Zoom. And once again, she's a triple threat. She can come either way. We want to thank our president. This is a technology age, and we're leaning forward in the rural area to try to catch up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. And it's good. Thank you so much for trusting me with this job of home missions. And what I would say as well, closing it out, the good thing about it is pastors, leaders of churches. You don't have to ask. Sometimes it's hard for us to ask for money or ask for someone to will or leave a legacy. So Ms. Rhodes will do the ask for you. I can help do the ask for you to make sure that they encourage it, because it's better coming from somebody else sometimes, and you all can just chime in and amen it, because we want to make sure that we leave a legacy for not only for our children and our grandchildren, our children, but we also want to leave a legacy for the house of God to make sure that we continue to further the gospel from Judea to Samaria to the outer ends of the earth. So wherever your state is, from Virginia State to the United States to the outer ends of the world, and we can do that by leaving a legacy and working with Expedite. Again, thank you, Brother President.
Pastor Maxwell, can I say one more thing?
We just like that. We can't close out of here. We're going to escape.
You know what?
I'm going to turn my mic off.
This is very important, and I honestly forgot. We talked about partnerships, and you asked them, well, who doesn't have their will? Well, when you partner and when you say, Carolyn, yes, I want you to speak with my congregation as a seed, not only do we give 10% because I'm a believer, but we make sure that the head people of their church also has their will. And we do it
The pastor.
as a gift. The pastor.
Because some people think the deacons run the church.
Oh,
The pastor.
okay. Oh.
You got to make sure he in a rural area.
Yes.
The pastor.
So pastors, if you out there, this is a way to help to lead, to make sure that you're leading by example, and we will make sure that you are taken care of. So we got you. You're welcome.
How your boy said, thank you, everybody. All right, good night.
Good night.
Hallelujah. No, seriously, we thank God for this great man of God, and we're closing out. And if you need to call this young lady, she's already giving you the number. I'm sure it's going to be on your screen. We love you. Thank you for trusting us to lead you, and we are leading you the way we're leading ourselves. So some of us may not have a will. In fact, I just did my will, so don't be afraid of it. Do what you need to do to leave a legacy for your family.